May 11th, 2022. 8:47 p.m. Kaitlin Armstrong opened an app on her phone. Not a map, not a messaging app, a fitness tracking app called Strava. And right there on the screen, Moriah Wilson's location, in real time. Armstrong watched the dot move across Austin, Texas. She watched it stop. Then she got in her Jeep. What happened next would shock an entire country. And what happened after that would become one of the most extraordinary escape stories in FBI history. This did not happen in a moment of rage. It was methodical. In January 2022, 4 months before the murder, Colin Strickland walked into a gun store and purchased 2 firearms, one for himself, one for Kaitlin Armstrong. Armstrong began visiting a shooting range with her sister Christine, learning how to use the weapon, practicing. By May, she was ready. On the night of May 11th, Strickland picked Wilson up, told Armstrong he was running errands alone and that his phone had died. But Armstrong knew exactly where he was. She had been following Wilson on the Strava fitness app, an app that athletes use to track their miles and GPS location. She watched them swim together. She watched them have dinner. She watched Strickland drop Wilson at her friend's house on Maple Avenue. Then Armstrong drove there herself. 3 shots were fired, but Armstrong made one critical mistake. Wilson's bicycle was inside the house. After the shooting, Armstrong moved it outside, placed it deliberately in the bushes. Her DNA was on the handlebars. Her DNA was on the seat. She had touched the one piece of evidence that would eventually seal her fate. Within hours of the shooting, Armstrong knew she was in trouble. She didn't panic. She planned. First, the Jeep. The same black Grand Cherokee caught on surveillance cameras near the crime scene. She sold it. $12,100. Cash. Then, the passport. Her own name was already flagged, so she called her sister Christine. Christine had no idea what had happened. She believed Kaitlin was flying back to Austin. She dropped her off at the airport. Armstrong flew from Newark, New Jersey to Amsterdam, then from Amsterdam to San Jose, Costa Rica, all under Christine's name, all on a one-way ticket. When investigators finally contacted Christine, she had no idea where her passport was. She told them Kaitlin had recently visited. That was the break investigators needed. But by then, Armstrong was already 6,000 miles away. On the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, in a small surf town called Santa Teresa, Armstrong checked into a hostel and began building her next move. She deleted all her social media. She changed her phone. She assumed a new name. And then she did something that no fugitive manual would ever recommend. She made an appointment with a plastic surgeon. His name was Dr. Jorge Badia. Armstrong walked into his clinic in Costa Rica under the name Allison Page. She wanted rhinoplasty, a nose job, along with several other procedures to fundamentally alter her appearance. Dr. Badia later told investigators that Armstrong was unusually guarded. When he asked to take a standard preoperative photograph, she became agitated. She refused. Eventually, she agreed, but only on one condition. The photo would be taken on her own phone, not his. $6,000 later, Kaitlin Armstrong had a new face. She cut her hair short. She dyed it dark brown. She stopped using her real name entirely. She introduced herself to the locals as Beth, or Ari, depending on the day. She began attending yoga studios around Santa Teresa, telling people she was a yoga instructor looking to establish herself in the area. To every person she met, She was exactly who she said she was. A traveler, a wellness professional, a woman starting over. And for 43 days, it worked. Meanwhile, back in the United States, the investigation was hitting walls. Deputy U.S. Marshals Damien Fernandez and Emir Perez flew to Costa Rica with a cover story. They were from the U.S. Embassy searching for a missing tourist. They canvassed Santa Teresa for days. Several members of the team got sick with COVID. A hurricane was approaching. Shelter-in-place orders were coming. Based on past experience, the deputies believed that if they didn't find Armstrong within 5 days, they never would. Day 4. Nothing. Day 5. Nothing. Frustrated, sick, and nearly out of time, they turned to their last option. They placed a fake advertisement. Online, local publications, a yoga instructor wanted in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. They waited. Kaitlin Armstrong responded. She had been, according to investigators, getting ready to establish the next chapter of her career. She was serious about it. She was planning a future. And that future walked her directly into a trap. On June 29, 2022, 43 days after the murder of Moriah Wilson, deputies located Armstrong at a hostel called Don John's in Santa Teresa. When they approached her, her face was bandaged from the surgery. Her hair was short and dark. Her name was different, but her eyes were the same. In a communal locker at the hostel, investigators found 2 things: Christine Armstrong's passport and the receipts from Dr. Jorge Badia's clinic for $6,000 of plastic surgery performed under the name Allison Page. Armstrong was arrested on the spot and extradited to Texas. But the story didn't end there. In October 2023, 1 month before her verdict, Armstrong was being escorted to a medical appointment outside the Travis County Jail. She ran. She was recaptured within minutes. On November 16, 2023, the jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty. 90 years. What this case reveals is not the story of a criminal mastermind. It is the story of someone who believed that intelligence, preparation, and a new face could erase what she had done. She tracked a woman using a fitness app. She bought a surgeon with cash. She answered a job advertisement placed by the FBI. At every turn, the very skills she used to build a new identity were the ones that handed her to the people hunting her. Armstrong is currently incarcerated at the Dr. Lane Murray Unit in Gatesville, Texas. Her earliest parole eligibility, 2052. Her projected release, 2112. Some identities cannot be escaped. If this story kept you watching, hit that like button, subscribe to the Vault Ledger, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. The next case is already waiting.